Hello young saints and consecrate leaders, how are you? Thank you for clicking on the video. This Sunday is Sunday the 12th of May, and we are continuing our brand new theme of God of all things. There are loads of things in the world, aren't there? There's loads of things in the room that you'll be leading in on this Sunday morning, so why not remind everyone there are loads of things in the world around us. In this room, there are things like this owl thing, and this Playmobil car thing, and this t-shirt heat press thing. Look at this. This is for stamping our logo onto shirts and things. And if you're a leader in Young Saints or in Consecrate and you've done your DBS and all that sort of good stuff, we can get you a shirt. How cool is that? More on that later maybe. So there are loads of things in our world, and God is God of all the things. He's not just God of some of the things. He's not just God of all the things mentioned in the Bible. He's God of all things. So let's get that straight, first of all. And then let's go on to our teaching. Today, the thing that we are looking at is wind. And you'll be pleased to know that in all your groups for Young Saints, not for Consecrate, but for all the Young Saints groups on your USB sticks, you will find the video from Saddleback Kids of the parting of the Red Sea. And we're also gonna, so that's for all the age groups.
Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and God opened a path through the water with a strong wind.
Wow!
The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land.
And we're going to also read that for the younger ones in this My Big Story Bible, through a journey through the sea of the parting of the Red Sea. And we're also going to, so that's for all the age groups, and we're going to also read that for the younger ones in this My Big Story Bible, through a journey through the sea here. And with adventurers, we're going to be reading that from Exodus. And some of the key things we want to pull out from that are wind is powerful and God is the Lord of the wind. Think about also how wind is much like God in many ways, in that we don't see God in everyday life, do we? But we see what God can do, and we see what God does do in our lives and in the lives of those around us. We don't see wind, do we? But we've seen our friends' hair be blown in the wind. I've not seen that for a while for myself, but I've seen my friend's hair blown in the wind. I felt the wind in my back as I walked down the street by the seaside. I've seen the wind cause crests on the top of the waves at the sea. You know, I've seen the leaves blown down the street in autumn. I can see the effect of the wind around me, even though I don't see the wind itself. So that can be a nice link back into how we can understand God too. But God is God of the wind. And he uses the wind in this story in Exodus to divide the waters so that the children of Israel can go across the Red Sea on dry ground. How cool is that? So that's our teaching for today. And that's the same all the way through. And we're going to do the same thing with the youth. Again, go through. Ask them, if you're with the youth, like, come on, tell me, how do you see the wind working in the world around you? Feel it push you in the back. You've leant into the storm, and in winter time, as you've felt the walk to school, and you're being buffeted and blown as you're going along the road. Yeah, we can feel all that stuff and look through the story in Exodus. So we are going to need to recap the plagues briefly for the youth. The video does that for the young saints already, so you have that recap built in. But for the youth, we're going to need to recap things like let my people go and the plagues, all that sort of stuff, so that we have a context as to why the children of Israel are going this direction and why it matters that they're confronted by a sea. It's not just that they were living their lives and then there was a sea in the way and so God made a way. No. That they needed this sea to move, or they needed that army to move. One of these two things has to go. And actually the sea opens up and the army go, so that's cool. But yeah, as we're reading through, there's a few points to be pulled out here from Exodus 14, specific bits there. Also, as a kind of a tie-in to Jesus, at the end, I've just thrown in Mark 4 and Jesus being on the boat and Do you remember when he rebuked the storm? And the God being God of the wind isn't just something that's wonderful in the Old Testament and it's a beautiful memory and we don't have anything to do with it anymore. But actually Jesus in the New Testament, he, peace, be still, speaks to the wind and the waves and they calm. And that's a lovely reminder that the amazing stories that you see in the Old Testament aren't just stories locked in the Old Testament, but it's true even in the New Testament, which means it can be true for us today as well. So let's thank God for choosing us. Because in this little response here, all the way through this series, we're talking about God using ordinary things in the day-to-day life around us. You and I, in the natural, are just ordinary things. We looked at that last week, didn't we? With it's His breath in our lungs from creation. It's His breath in our lungs. So the ordinary, the dust of the earth, becomes extraordinary, something made in the image of God because He breathes into us. And we want to thank God for making us. We want to thank God for now this week also choosing us and enabling us to make a difference in the world around us, much like He chose Moses and the children of Israel to make a difference in the world around them too. You can ask God to show us the ways He wants to use us to reach those in the world around us. Thank Him that He is bigger and more powerful than any opposition in our life, like Pharaoh. So those are things we can do around the teaching. We also have some great fun craft and a game for the young saints. Young saints have feathers and we're going to try and see the effect of the wind and make sure no one swallows these. We have some lovely colourful feathers and they can blow their feathers around to see the effect of the wind. We also have some cool craft. We have a colouring sheet for you and we have a word search sheet for you, if you can see that. And we have a concertina craft for you which they can colour in first, and that is of this Moses above the Red Sea stretches out his hand and then the waters part and the people can cross. So that's a cool thing. So bless you. Have a wonderful week wherever it is that you're serving, whatever age group you're in, whatever congregation, can't say the word, congregation that you are in. I pray God's grace and His peace would be with you this weekend. This weekend is the 12th. Next weekend is the 19th, and we are in a joint family service in Horsham. So all the congregations from all the locations all meeting together. No children's or youth work, everyone in the main meeting all together, and we're going to love being part of that too. So I will see you there, but have a great weekend this weekend first. All the very best. See you soon, folks. Bye.